what I write, I always tend to mix either fantastic or more commercial elements like horror and fantasy and stuff like that with history and a look on Puerto Rico. And I've always portrayed problems and things about Puerto Rican society because I do believe that if people read about themselves and their problems, they become aware that they can change. I always tackle like issues about poverty, inequality, LGBTQ issues. My name is Melvin Rodriguez, and I'm 27 years old. I'm from Salinas. I live basically all my life there, but because of there was not a lot of job opportunities, I ended up moving to San Juan so I could work here. I grew up like having like a really sense of having family, of having a lot of people to support you and love you, and I cherish that a lot. I work as a graphic designer. I'm also a writer. I have a little publishing house. We're trying to make this project of bringing those genres, which haven't been done a lot here in Puerto Rico, giving them a Puerto Rican perspective.
My parents are like always telling me like, don't return like for the moment because of the crisis. In my mind, I am always like, I know that I'm gonna return to Puerto Rico. I know that for sure. I know that I am not like living the crisis like directly because I'm not in the island. But I think crisis sometimes equals like opportunities. My name is Isis Loremis Colón de Jesus, and my age is 25 years old. I am from Puerto Rico, and I recently moved to Orlando, Florida, and I have been here like 10 months ago. Right now, I am working in the Universal Orlando in Puerto Rico. I was working in different radio stations, so I was a broadcaster, and I missed that a lot, and I am still like learning English. I was like, I'm gonna do that first, and maybe it's gonna be more easy for me. And then when I feel like more security, like talking in English, maybe I would try to be again like in a on a radio station here because I really love it and I think it's my passion.
I'm Puerto Rican, I support all of our causes, and I'm very, ever since I was born, I haven't been very happy with the way the U.S. has treated us, and I just wanted to come here and show my support, for the cause, and with all the Puerto Ricans in the diaspora.
I could probably pass as an American if I tried. A lot of my American friends have told me that sometimes they even forget that I'm not from here because of how I speak, because of my cultural references, because of my slang. But I remind them, listen, don't let it fool you. This is who I am is a Puerto Rican. Maybe your idea of a Puerto Rican is someone that talks like this or something, but we come in all different incarnations, My name is Alexis Herrera, and I'm 30 years old.
I was born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I've been living in Williamsburg, Brooklyn for about a month and a half. Well, I originally went to Boston in 2014. I went to get a master's degree there. I just graduated from the University of Puerto Rico, and I wanted to keep studying, keep learning. My mother was a college professor, and my dad was an entrepreneur. I always grew up in an intellectually stimulating environment. I like to think I'll end up either writing or talking for a living. Writing is something that I was always told that I do well since I was a kid, and it's something that I want to get better at and want to keep improving every day, both in English and in Spanish.
Este poema se titula Mo. Los carros de mi casa tenían los retrovisores pegados con silicona porque no había dinero para repararlos. Los espejos fragmentados como en un rompecabezas mal hecho. I started writing poetry when I was in college, and when I had a manuscript, I sent it to some publishers, and my first book was published in 2005, the same year I left. Mi nombre es Mara Pastor y tengo 37 años. I grew up in San Juan, and right now I live in Ponce because I'm a professor at the University Pontificia Universidad Católica de Ponce. I think that the only reason I did a PhD was because I wanted to teach in Puerto Rico. And my experience at the University of Puerto Rico was so good. And there was something about how university opened the way in which I understood politics at the time, and it was like a life-changing experience, and I really wanted to bring that back to the island.
We've been almost 3 years together. We met working. We basically worked 2 doors away, so we knew each other since I started working, and then the relationship started like 2 years after.
We became really, really good friends. We bond like really quickly. And we were like these friends that talk about everything you can imagine. And then I don't know, the spark came out.
It happened.
And then we were like, oh, you're there.
It's that thing when everybody realized what's happening but you, and everybody was like, you two go together. And
Everybody.
no, but then it happened and it worked. My name is Benny Montijo. I'm 27 years old.
I am Carola Nieves, and I'm 32. I have a daughter. Her name is Isabela Doñé. Her age is, she's 7 years old. It has been always like, okay, I have a daughter, so she's the priority. And he was completely fine with it. And he has bonded with her like really, really well. And she loves him. She sees in him like, I don't know, she does.
Yeah.
It's like kind of corny to say it, but she really loves him. She has told me like, I think he's like my big brother. No, he's not your big brother. So you have to respect him like an adult.
We fight like brothers and sisters.
Oh, they fight like brothers and sisters. It's like, oh my God, it's like so funny to watch.
And then she starts yelling to both of us, and we gotta sit in the chair like, okay.
It's really fun. Then I
Sorry.
realized, okay, they're not my kids. She's my kid. He's my partner.
That's the funny part of it.
Since I was little, I was like always asking a lot about why we're Puerto Ricans. We have to fill in the document that we are US citizen, because in that age, I really didn't understand. I always put like Puerto Rican first, and then like I put like US citizen. But it was like pretty difficult sometimes because people, they like don't understand like our political status, that we are a territory, we're not a state, we are not independent. I think it has been like always a little bit confusing But for me, I would be always proud to be a Puerto Rican.
My master's program at Northeastern, the director there and another person who was very high up, they both asked me if I had trouble, if it was hard for me to apply there because of the whole visa thing. I'm like, we don't need a visa. We're US citizens.
We were born citizens. You kind of grow up knowing that. Some people take it like a huge present from the United States. From my point of view, I grew up with it and I honestly didn't care. And I grew up with my music and knowing that plena and bomba was our culture and where it came from. And you kind of have those two bouncing parts. The US citizen, yay, I'm a US citizen. And no, I'm Puerto Rican. I come from here. I come from a mix of races and huge history.
We are part of the United States, period. But we grew up with our traditions. Many people here in the island denied their traditions and want to be more American, and that's fine. That's them. But us, we feel Puerto Ricans and we love our country, but we have it in our hearts everywhere we go, anywhere in the world.
My friends, they were like always talking about a political party, and they were like always talking about no, because of my grandma, because of my grandfather, because my parents, they had like always vote to these people, so we have to vote to these people. And it was like, but what do you think about yourself? What do you think about Puerto Rico, like yourself? Like put out like your grandma, like your grandparents or your parents. What do you think about Puerto Rico right now?
Both my grandparents' families, they were really poor people that in the 50s, when Luis Muñoz Marin started promoting these populist ideas of bread and land and freedom, they've always been pro Estado Libre Asociado, like just being as we are, the Commonwealth, because they say it's the best of both worlds. And I grew up um, believing that because that was like the only perspective I had on both sides.
My hopes would be that independence is declared tomorrow and we can trade with other countries. I always used to hear the pro-statehood arguments from my grandfather and then the pro-independence ones from my mother. I probably take more after my mom. We share a lot of the same ideologies, even though we get into debates and arguments all the time. Because we might both be pro-independence, but we don't see the world in exactly the same way. And then having a grandfather that was so pro-statehood, I got to know that side and how they think.
It's like culture. You basically vote for one political party because your grandpa did it, and it's a tradition. And I kind of stepped out from that on the way of thinking, on the way of looking at everything that was going on on the island, and realizing the way I was thinking was like the other people, like my color is blue and yours is red. When you start looking some other way, you realize that it's been years, and every 4 years of elections, everybody says, we're gonna save the country. And you think, that's what the other guy said 4 years ago. What happened? Weren't he supposed to save the country? Every 4 years is the same script.
I think a lot of the reasons why it's tough to find a secure job and develop professionally and create a career in Puerto Rico is because of our colonial relationship with the US. So in a way, they've made it so that people like me are forced to come here or to at least leave the island. But if we're gonna leave, what's the logical place to come? Here, because we have a US passport, we know the US culture, because that's what they've taught us from day one. I didn't want to leave. I always saw myself living in Puerto Rico for the rest of my life. It's where I'm from, it's my culture, my country. That's who I am. But unfortunately, I couldn't develop professionally there.
I never considered moving out of Puerto Rico. Um, I just like kept saying at some point I'm gonna find a job. I'm gonna stay here. The situation was difficult, but I still had faith that at some point I was gonna get a job, a good job, and I was like gonna be able to make a living. And I wanted to stay just to stay close to the family, and because I love Puerto Rico, I really like living here. It was like just like as my grandfather sometimes thinks that someday he'll win the lottery. I was thinking that someday I was going to find like a good job that I could afford, like healthcare. And I've always wanted to like pay my taxes here, work here, because I've always wished to give back and help my country, because I know there are a lot of things holding us back, but there is a lot of potential. And I believe that people could, if you talk to people, if you educate them, things can change.
When I was 25, I decided that I was gonna move to the US to do grad school. Here I had a full-time job, but there are no fellowships for grad students at the University of Puerto Rico, so it's very difficult for students to pursue grad school here. I thought that it was going to be something short, but then I spent 10 years abroad. I moved in 2005, and at the same time, the economical crisis was getting worse and worse, so it was more difficult to return.
I was not planning like to move here. My family and me, we were planning to celebrate my birthday here because my brother lives here. And in that week, my brother that lives here, he told me, "Do you wanna go to a job fair?" And I was like, "I'm gonna do it. Like, let's see if I make it. If not, well, that's like an experience." So I was like, should I stay or should I return to the island? And I just think about it like 2 days, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. So, and I stayed.
In my family, we grew up together, and we have like this thing of staying together and staying in Puerto Rico because here's where you were born, here's where you grew up, here's your family. But at the same time, if you have to go because you have an opportunity outside of the island, you go.
You grow up together, and the idea of going away, it's like, no, I don't want to leave them. This is my family. I don't want to. But when you grow up, the situation tells you, basically, you gotta leave, man, or you gotta change your way, change your path.
I think the most part that I miss is gonna be the nature, the beaches, the rivers. For us, it's like a tesoro, you know, like let's do a trip, explore. And I think las montañas, oh my God, I miss them so much. And how people treat you, because I can meet someone in Puerto Rico like a stranger, and we talk a little bit of something, and we're like friends like in 2 seconds. In Puerto Rico, we're always like kissing people, like hey, what's up, and hugging, and we're like very lovable. I think all the neighbors, we were like family and friends too.
Driving around and going to a specific place, even if it's a place that I've been to like a million times, like Old San Juan or somewhere in Rio Piedras. But what's so funny about that is that while I was living there, I remember thinking like, oh my God, it's the same thing every day. I go to the same spots every weekend. I need something different. But once you're not there, it's like, I miss those places. That sense of security, of happiness that comes from familiarity, but also kinship, having things in common, and the accent, the voices, the sounds, the coqui. But again, that's one of those things that when you're there, if you're in a bad mood, you might be annoyed. Like, why can't these animals shut up? Why can't I just go to sleep? But then when you're here, you don't hear them. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And then when you go back, you hear them again. It's like, oh, okay, I'm home. So yeah, I would say the sounds, but particularly the language. There's nothing like being able to speak Spanish, to speak my kind of Spanish. I feel like I'm being myself.
We are very close to the mountains. The rivers are very close. And that's one of the things that I love in contact with nature. What I love about being here is that I feel so alive. Puerto Rico is a vibrant place. It's a green place. It's full of beautiful things. And I love the music and the culture. And I love the way we are and how we have defend, and how much we have struggled against the colony. And I think we are fighters.
We're all very patriotic and very proud of being Boricuas, Puerto Ricanos. And when I say we all are, I mean all of us, like across ideologies. Like pro-independence people and pro-statehood people are just as pro-PR. When a Puerto Rican goes to the United States, they're proud of him because it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna do good for yourself. You're gonna hopefully start a career there, and you're going to like the land of opportunity, the American dream.
My family and my friends, they support me a lot. If you want to do it, just go ahead and like sacrifice, I think being here, the thing that I like, it's about learning the other language, but learning too about other cultures. We have like a lot of people here from other countries that they moved just like me, and they started like from the bottom just like me. And sometimes like we can get like como que uno se identifica con esas otras personas.
There's always different people that, especially with me, being pro-independence, they're quick to like judge you or maybe tease you if they're friends of yours, but if they're not, they'll look at you like with side eye and wonder, wait, why are you going to the United States if you're pro-independence? If you're so anti-US, why are you going there? And I always tell them, listen, we're just going where we have more opportunities for professional growth. Finding work has been tough. Journalism, writing, it's a tough field to be in, but it was way tougher in Puerto Rico, which is part of the reason why I decided to go to the States. So that has been tough, but the key has been just being creative, just trying to find other ways and that I can apply my skills to make a living. I live in Williamsburg, right in a very interesting place. It's a melting pot of mainly like old school like Hasidic Jews and old school Puerto Ricans, people that have been here for decades. But there's also an influx of people like me, you know, younger people in their 20s and 30s, because you just have to walk not even a few blocks, just a few feet, and you'll see these 3 different types of people intermingling. For me, you know, being around those old school Puerto Ricans, it gives me a feeling that, okay, I'm not that far removed from home, because these people remind me of what I left behind.
When someone from Latin America or the Caribbean moves to the US, is immediately labeled as Latina because it's easier for the American scope. But identity is so complex, and it was so difficult for me at the beginning to understand my identity. It was the first time in which I had to think about it, you know, because when you grew up in a place, you just take for granted what you are, and it's when you have some distance that you realize a lot of the components of what you are. So I realized that when I was in the US, I was never asked if I was Puerto Rican. I was never linked or rarely linked to Puerto Rico. So I started asking myself, you know, why, and even though, you know, that I felt that I was very Puerto Rican in my ways and in my way of dancing and of talking and of being, you know, like I had to redefine those terms when I was in the US. During those 10 years that I was outside Puerto Rico, it was very interesting because I maintained a relationship with the island through my poetry and trying to come to release the books here and to publish here and to have contact with the readers. I always felt that the readership, you know, Puerto Rican readers were very important for me, and that in a way I was writing for them, you know, so I wanted to maintain that link.
That sort of, that joy, you know, that sense of helping each other out, that's a very Puerto Rican thing, and it increases tenfold when we're out, when we're not in Puerto Rico. As soon as we identify one of our own, we'll develop some sort of rapport or some sort of kinship, because we know we have that in common. We come from a very small place, and there aren't that many of us, so when we run into one of our own, we're happy, right? They feel like, oh my God, I'm so lucky to have run into you. Someone that I have something in common with. Let's help each other out. But when we're here, what ties us together is the fact that we're Puerto Rican. So we're gonna bond over that a lot more than we're gonna not get along because of our potential differences. I was talking with a friend of mine. He said, there's this super cool Puerto Rican bar that I have to take you. It's in Brooklyn. You're gonna feel like you're in Santurce or Rio Piedras. I go there and I'll play dominoes, something I never even did in Puerto Rico, but now I enjoy it. I'll play dominoes, I'll eat arroz con habichuela, and pollo guisado, and bistec, and pernil, and all the good stuff that she serves. And it's a place where I can go to when I'm feeling like a little homesick, and it'll remind me of home.
I lived here now like 1 year and 1 week. I know that I have to maybe learn a little bit more, and I know I'm not perfect, but I don't have like that fear that I used to have those first days here. I was like super scary, super shy, and I love to express myself a lot. So I feel less shy. I don't have that fear. I hate fear, and I think we have to do I think we have to take risks to do things. So I feel a lot better.
I didn't have my family. When I started over here, I only had my room. That's it. Then I had to walk to work a lot, like 1 hour and a half. And then I bought my first bike. And then I bought my first car. She went through also the same struggles that I did, but in less time. It has been a joy ever since she moved in with me. Like, it gives me that great feeling every time that I wake up in my house that I know she's there, because it gives me that little push to say to myself, like, I'm not alone in this.
Quítale el tapón, pom, pom, quítale el tapón, pom, pom, quítale el tapón. Ahora vamos a hacer el saludo. Zumba, dímelo.
Orlando, Kissimmee. Dime, Easy, cuéntamelo, tell me.
Orlando and Kissimmee. How do you say el calor humano de la gente?
Human touch.
It's super different.
Comparing like San Juan to Orlando, you got local places, you get to visit people, you get to be around, you get, like you said, the human touch, you know, that caring, that affection, that passion that we share.
Passion, and like the flavor, like
La música.
yeah, dancing, everyone together, sharing a lot of stuff, sharing stories too.
Just going back and forth and visiting the families, you know, we miss that a lot. Like we don't have like.
Oh my God, Old San Juan.
Like our
The
family.
food, the dancing, the people you met there, the colors too. Have you ever think of that?
The what?
Like, I don't know if it's like we're like a tropical island, but we have like more colors. Like
We're
more,
colorful.
Like more intensity. You know what I mean?
Right now, how many days have they been without electricity?
They have been 77 days without power. When the hurricane was approaching, that we know about the category, but we didn't know that it was going to affect us like super big. So when it was like pretty close to the island, we were like super worried because it was gonna hit right in our small town.
When I saw that Maria was coming and that it was Category 5, and at first it was going to enter through Salinas, the first thing I thought was I have to go there and pass it with my family because like I have to be there for them.
I never expected that Hurricane Maria was going to be that strong. Even though we are used to hurricanes, we have not had a Category 5 hurricane in like decades. So, and we couldn't imagine how it was going to be. But since I was living in a wooden house, I knew that I had to prepare. So for Irma, we packed everything as if we were moving because we felt that we could lose everything. And with Maria, we need to do that again.
We just prepare like with water, with food, and candles, everything we could do. But at the end, you just prepare, but when it hits, it's really when you know what it's gonna be like.
I remember I was sleeping. Suddenly it became raining really, really strong in the middle of the night. The wind was howling like crazy. And my family lives in a mountain, so wind is very normal to us. But this was like something like nothing we had ever seen. The lights went out, and it was very, very exasperating because you couldn't see anything, and you heard everything going haywire outside. Water started coming in through the windows, even though they were closed, and through the door. My family and I had to start drying, putting plastic bags and towels. We were like getting water out basically since it began until we went to sleep. It was a whole day of work.
Dímelo, preciosura, bendición.
Bendición.
Dios los bendiga.
Mi amor, mi vida, mi corazón, mi todo, mi cochicucu, mi cosa mona, mi tuki tuki, amanecer de Dios, mi nena, nena, mi preciosa, las preciosas como tú estás.
Dios mío.
It was really sad those first days because we didn't have communication. It was like for 8 days. And we were like super worried because we talked with our parents like almost every day. So having that, ¿cómo se dice? Incertidumbre.
Having that worry. worry in our minds.
Yeah, so it was like super difficult because we were here watching the news, looking at pictures in the social media, and it was awful because we were like, how is our family? Because we can hear about other people, but if you don't hear like in your own phone, hey dad, it's not the same.
No cell phones.
No cell phones,
So
no
you
communication.
can't, no communication at all.
I didn't know about my family in Seattle, and I had to call my cousin who lives in New York. He could communicate, and when I called him, it was like, I know you're okay. Thank God you're okay. They are okay. So, but it was like 4 days after the hurricane.
So they were like really long hours of being just plain worried. And we went to sleep out of tiredness, but we didn't know anything about most of our loved ones that were not there. I wasn't able to talk to my partner after the hurricane, and that was killing me. So on the third day, when I went to look for him, I was just like, I have to get there, and if it's flooded or if they're not there, I'm gonna like reach and look for every shelter until I find them. How can you go outside and talk to a person? Like, what can you say when that person is telling you like, I lost everything, like look at my house, it's completely destroyed. You just like hug the person, and there's nothing you can say. And it was like a barren land. It looks like the apocalypse had just came over. You could feel the sadness all around the people. It was really, really a really dark time.
The aftermath is where you realize how bad the things get. It stopped like 2 o'clock in the evening, and her sister's husband and I went out at like 5, and the wind was still blowing, and everything was messed. Everything was a mess. Everything was destroyed, and we have never seen something like that. And it was like everybody got out. Everybody was walking around, and you say, I've never seen this. What's gonna happen next? And that's basically the question you always have in your head. How are we gonna get out? How is this gonna be okay? The supermarket opens at 9 and you gotta get there at 6 because there's a big line of people buying everything they can even though they don't need it. So that's the hard part when you gotta get food for everyone, for us. And you got food saved and everything, but when you gotta get there, when you gotta go to buy everything again, it's hard. It's basically a fight with people, and people freak out. People were still freaking out on the streets, and there was no power. The traffic was a mess, and that was the part that when you're a kid you don't realize. And now that you're an adult and you have to take care of your people, that's the messy part of it. Working to have water and have food. Well, I don't think you can see me, but it's been almost 40 days with no power. I'm here in my hometown in Ciales, in the center of the island. There are some generators around. People are working out with the conditions, but as you can see, it's like closing your eyes. You can hear a lot of noises. I have just been told that in my barrio, it's been a lot of burglaries and people are defending themselves with machetes and guns, and it's hard. It's you kind of get used to it. You kind of work it out, but when you sit and think about it, it's hard.
This is where my uncle's house used to be. We were hoping that it could survive Maria, but when the winds got really strong, the roof started to open up like a can, and it started to move up and down, and then basically the walls started like toppling over one another. When a house loses the roof, even though the roof can be repaired, you basically lose everything because rain starts to pour in and it damages like all your furniture and belongings. There were so many friends and neighbors' houses that the roofs got torn off, or a window, or part of the roof. But either way, they lost um, a lot. So now you see a lot of blue tarps from FEMA that FEMA gave the people to cover the roofs.
So we got married 3 days after the hurricane. We had an arrangement already with the church. The priest just he opened the church that day, and it was funny. I mean, I couldn't tell my guests because there were no telecommunications, so they didn't know that we were gonna do it anyway. So it was just my close family and the close family of 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 my boyfriend at the time, and also because the church has air conditioner and it has a generator. A lot of people around the town saw that the church was open and they got into it just to get some air conditioner. So we it was we have a nice story, and it was nice, but it was definitely like very improvised in many ways, and but for us it was important. After the hurricane, our house was looted, and we were waiting for police for 2 days, and they never came to our house. So at the time, I felt like, wow, this is the way in which it's gonna be. Like, you call them and you wait, and they never come. And also, it was full of mosquitoes. Like, the situation was very, very intense. So we couldn't stay there. And also, the house was full of water leaks and stuff. So from there, we spent like almost maybe more like a month moving from one place to another. We were worried about how I was gonna get the prenatal care. And yeah, my doctor, he lost his office, so I couldn't reach him. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to teach again, or if I was gonna have my job, because we didn't know if the university was gonna be able to reopen. Many students left. Many people left after the weeks after the hurricane. I'm here for the book release of my latest book, that is As Though the Wound Had Hurt, como si la herida hubiera oído. It feels good. It feels like a relief, but I know that it's gonna be a shock to go back to the island. I've been here for 2 or 3 days, but after a month of surviving the hurricane and the aftermath of it, I'm surprised of doing things like, um, you know, I'm unused to light, to electricity. So I'm in a room and I don't turn lights on, and I laugh because I realize what I'm doing. Or I'm also detoxicating from the paranoias of the mosquitoes and the fear, like I've been feeling. And I realize that if now in New York I'm feeling that aftermath of the trauma, it's been 100 years or more of trauma under colonial rule, like, and it's gonna be like a long way to recover.
for a while, it seemed that every day the news kept getting worse when it came to Maria. Like, we knew it was bad as soon as it hit, but initially they said, oh, only 1 or 2 people have died, and then that number kept increasing, and then days were going on, weeks were going by, and most people still didn't have power and water. They still don't. It's been pretty shocking to see it develop and get worse. You think that after a hurricane hits, the worst part has passed. And right after is when the recovery begins and everything is gonna get better. That hasn't been the case. It's almost been worse. The aftermath has almost been worse than the actual storm. So that's why I feel it's so important for us to like stick together in these times. Like when you see a Puerto Rican now, like in New York or in Boston, where I still have a lot of friends, and I see that they're doing a lot of events, and that helps because, you know, strength in numbers. We moved, we left our home in order to develop professionally or start our lives and careers. But now, because we all share this common tragedy, that need for emotional support, for friendship, is a lot bigger.
So we start working exactly the October 9th. So basically, we started like thinking, okay, little by little, we're going to normal. And then a week later, we were dismissed from our jobs, both of us. And when you actually see what is happening, and still so many days after the hurricane, you still can see those things. You think, what's gonna happen next year? What's gonna happen? Is this gonna work? We're gonna make it? What are we gonna do? What's gonna happen? And I think that's the scariest part of all the hurricane situation. What's gonna happen? How we're gonna live? Are we gonna have a job? Are we gonna have a money to survive? I think that's the scariest part. Even more if you have kids. We have 1, but imagine the families that have 2, 3, even 4. It's hard. It's hard. You laugh because it's crazy. You maybe cry. Maybe you want to punch someone because you hate everyone because you don't have a job, you don't have money. You are wondering what are you gonna do. And those feelings, it's normal. We're human. But you have like to sit down and think like more rationally. And okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna send my resume this. If this doesn't work, what I'm gonna do, and think about maybe a plan B, plan C, maybe plan D.
After Maria, like my perspective changed a lot. The hurricane kind of like accentuated things that I would usually look over. I really got frustrated when I saw that, you know, we had a government that was not the best one, but I was thinking that, you know, these are the times when even the worst of politicians, like they say that they show a human side and they help, but at first I thought that they're stumbling managing this, and then I saw that no, they're not stumbling. They actually don't care to help the people at all.
People are mad. People are very mad, very angry, and very disappointed. I've noticed that a lot of the pro-statehood, pro-US people, they've really had to reevaluate their beliefs and really do. It's been a very introspective time for them because they've had to come to terms with the fact that the United States does not care about us, and it's what we've been telling them for decades, and they never wanted to hear it, but now they're seeing it, they're feeling it.
I was mad, I was angry, because it's like right now, our political status, we are territory of the United States. So we don't have our own money. We are not like our own owners, you know? You have to talk about us. You have to talk about the real situation. You have to be honest, and they have to help.
national campaign, and 4 cities had a national day of action. We delivered 12,000 signatures to Congress. We sent a brigade and a ship from Greenpeace to Puerto Rico with the materials that people in Puerto Rico told us they wanted. We didn't decide for Puerto Ricans what their priorities were. We didn't determine, we're going to send you this. We asked, what do you need? What do you want? And we got you. We got your back.
It was really hard. It was very stressful. It was just 2 weeks of just basically like crying every day, hoping for the best and not hearing from your family members. It was very traumatic. And I'm here and I can imagine how it must have been for them there. I just want people to keep spreading the word that this is not over and it's not fixed yet and it won't be for a while.
It's been 100 days with people in the dark, with people not having access to food or to clean water. I'm Elizabeth Jean-Pierre. I'm Executive Director of UPROS, which is Brooklyn's oldest Puerto Rican organization. It's an organization that works at the intersection of racial justice and climate change. I think the goal is to make sure that Puerto Rico continues to stay in the press, in the minds of hearts of people. It's really easy when there's a disaster for it to disappear quickly. You saw that happen in Haiti after the earthquake. So we are committed to this for the long run. A lot of people want to do something immediately, help immediately. But the truth is that real disaster happens months and years after, when a community or a nation is no longer in the public eye.
Sometimes I sit to talk with my dad, and my dad says, "Oh, everything's gonna work out. Everything's gonna be fine." And you come to your circle, us, and you say, "How it's gonna work out? You're out of work. They throw you away. No, you're fired because we can't work. Maria took everything away, and we got shut down. But Puerto Rico se levanta."
And yo no me quito. There's another hashtag actually that is called yo no me quito.
I don't quit.
I don't quit. It means that you will fight for the island and you will stay on the island. And some people took that hashtag and put it like, oh, yo no me quito, and like saying to the ones that go away, like, you go, tú te quitaste, you quit.
I kind of have an abusive relationship with my country. There's not job opportunities here. The government is always taking a lot from the people, and it's corruption here is it's ridiculous, and people just keep believing in the people that robs them. I feel like that is abusive. Like, you try so much for your country, but at the same time your country's not doing anything to keep you or to incentivize that you stay here.
At the point we have set a date, like, we should make the plans to leaving on June, leaving on July, something like that.
But for that, we need money.
And a job.
And a job, because we don't want to go we have a kid. We can't go there and just look for a job and wait until it comes out. Wherever we go, I want her to be proud of where she comes from, and that she comes from the Caribbean, from Puerto Rico, and that she has that in her blood and she can do anything about it because that's her.
And I really honestly don't care what happens in the island. I care what happens with me, with her, with Isabela, and that's it. I'm not counting on the island to grow all together. Now, right now, I'm counting on my circle, and that's it.
We are still in a very early stage of recovering, and I felt that maybe it was a good idea to think about leaving and moving to the States. So I started applying to different universities, and I got some offers for January, but since my due date is in April, I don't want to be, far from my family in such a important moment of my life, and my husband also, he wants to stay here, and we don't really want to move. We want to work for things to get better, and that's what we've been doing since I came back, So We decided to stay here and to have the baby here and to wait until summer to see how things goes, and then to decide from there what to do. But we want to stay.
I'm planning to go in January to Philadelphia. Sometimes I think I'm a bit naive. I like to think that I'm going to go to return, and then I tell myself, every Puerto Rican says, I'm gonna go and I'm going to return, and they never return. I do wish to return at some point.
It's been how many days?
About 4 days.
4 days, yeah.
We arrived on January the 10th, really early in the morning.
We hardly had time. We couldn't even say goodbye to most of the people that we know, and it bought our plane tickets, and then we just started getting everything ready.
At the end of the year, my grandmother passed away, so I had to revert back to thinking to probably staying in Puerto Rico because I didn't want to leave my family in that state. They all understood that for having a better life, it's better for me to come over here, even if it was just for a little time while things get better. They all told me, like, go away. If you can stay there, it's good. If you have to return, then at least you're gonna have like a little bit of a vacation from all that's happening. So just do it. Like everybody was saying that if I could, I'd do the same. We feel like partners. Wherever one goes, the other one follows, and we help and balance each other out. More than anything, we are a good team.
It doesn't really matter where we go, and if we're together, like that place is our home as long as we're together. So, and it sounds cheesy and stuff, but it really is the way it feels.
I was kind of like emotionally numb to the place. I couldn't find, like, I could feel sad because of what happened and because of what happened to the people, but at the same time I recognized that it was also happening to me and I couldn't do anything about it. I still feel a lot of guilt living them without electricity and water as they are, but at the same time there's nothing I can do to alleviate their situation. And if there's something I can do, it's probably have a better situation to help them from somewhere else. If there's something that the hurricane taught me, was that for a long time Puerto Ricans sometimes shun the people that flee the island, and those were the people that at the end of the day came out to save us. Like, they became our voice in the politics. They spoke the truth to us, because while our media was mostly just saying the government is doing a lot of good things and stuff, they were saying no, the things are still not good, and so it was like they spoke the truth of us, and they spoke the truth for us. Over here, I'm gonna be able to write more and probably do more stuff that I could be able to do on the island. That's something that makes me wish to find some job here and stay, because I don't wanna leave. I don't want to leave my passions behind, and I feel like also over here I can like see which new experiences spur new creative outcomes.